Hey, my name's Chad. This video, we are going to talk a little bit more about my Kestrel issues. I think I've got a couple things figured out, and I wanted to share them with everybody out there. So if anybody, has a similar concern as what I've been having, wanted to share what I've learned over the last week, and especially yesterday doing a little more testing out at the range that we shot our last match at. First things first, we'll start out with after doing the update and the reset. As long as I start out with this further away from anything that has a magnet on it, I am having much better luck with it reading the proper directions and keeping the proper directions. So it hasn't done that same thing where it's like shown straight north, and then as I move around to the south, it shows like a 20-degree move in a 180-degree turn with my body, and this only showing 20 to 30 degrees of direction change. So it hasn't been doing that. I don't know what caused it the first time, but I think currently we're in good shape there. So while I was out yesterday testing a couple things with this, comparing it to my buddies and seeing if everything was lining up and giving good numbers that would work, we got to talking about different things. There kept being cows run across the range, and we couldn't shoot as much, so I was working on moving around it, getting into positions and things like that, and fiddling with this, trying to figure out what my problem was. So on the last match, I had mentioned that after I noticed this was giving me strange readings, I went in and manually adjusted everything. So what I would do is tell the Kestrel that my target was facing, pretty much straight north according to the Kestrel. So I would call the target 12 o'clock, and then I would figure out where the wind was blowing from and set that in here as a manual clock direction. So right now it's showing 7:30. I'm shooting this way, and the wind is coming from this way. So that makes sense. I just did a test reading, and that's coming up proper. Now, what I didn't understand is on here, it gives wind speed 1 and wind speed 2. What I kept doing was using the manual function where I can go in and I've got a little screen and I've got it set to just tell me the direction, wind speed, and current temperature. So I was using that and getting my wind readings held out, and I would just watch the number, and whatever the lowest number was, I'd put that in for wind speed 1, and then the highest number for wind speed 2. I thought 1 was low and 2 was high. Apparently that was wrong. So I would have, like, I would see a 3, and I'd put that in for wind speed 1, and then we'd get more consistent gusts that were like 12, 16. I think one time I had an 18 in for wind speed 2. So I'd have a range of 3 to 18. That was completely wrong. Wind speed 1 is the average of the speed in the time that you're capturing it. So where it should have been like a 10, 12, 13 mile an hour wind for wind speed 1, I had it in at like a 3 or 4. So that was likely what was putting me just a hair off the edge of the targets. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself right now, because I'm trying to get myself over the mental hurdle that I got myself stuck in with this thing. So everything I've been testing now for the last couple of days seems to be working out. Right now I've got it set up. I've also been putting into use this little tripod contraption. So there's just a holder and then a wind vane, and it's able to freely spin. So it'll pick up the wind direction, and then the Kestrel fits inside the holder, and then you can turn on, open it up so we can run in the wind and get a better wind reading. So I found this actually forces me to keep it away from too close to my rifle so that the magnets are not affecting anything. So fingers crossed. I think this process has been working out so far. At least it did yesterday for the couple shots that we took. I was getting all right hits, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think 800 yards. Okay, we got the cows moved out, and then we got set up, and then the cows came right back in front of the target. So it was a interesting bit of a day. And then I guess this is just going to be the animal weekend. I was just out here setting up to make sure I could see through the path of trees down there to see if I could see my like 745-yard target. And I thought it was raining. I heard and I felt something on my arm while I was down on the rifle looking through the scope. And I look up and well, there's no rain anywhere, and I see a whole flock of birds flying over me. And I look down on my arm and I got dumped on. So I've already wiped it off, of course, but I guess it's just going to be a weird animal kind of annoyance of a weekend. So anyways, what I want to do right now is I've got my spinner at 345-ish. Let's see. I've got my long target down there at 745, a round target at 495, and then a spinner around 345. So I just want to see if I can get hits on target with the numbers that my Kestrel is giving me. And if everything works out where I'm actually hitting the target, then I think I've got this solved. So I'm going to go set up a piece of cardboard behind my round target, the one that's right at 500. That way, if I miss, I can see, you know, where was I high, low, off to the left or right. So we'll see what happens. So we're going to see if this will work. I've jotted down the numbers that I got off of here, and we'll just use these numbers and see if we can get anything. I'm going to skip the spinner target for now, the one that's at like 345. So we're going to go for the 495. I'll take one or two shots at that, and then I may take one at the 745. It's hard to see at the angle I'm at. I kind of need to be scooted over a little bit more, but with the wheat that's growing up here, I'm actually on my tonneau cover on the bed of my truck to try and get up over the wheat and see the targets. So let's see if we have any luck here. According to this, I should be 2.2 and about 2/10. The wind is playing around, so it's coming down to 1 to 2 miles an hour, getting up to 3 to 4, so not a huge wind, but it is changing directions quite a bit. It was almost south, and now it's almost a straight west wind. So we've got several storms in the area that are kind of starting up around us and then moving towards the northeast. So we'll see if we have any luck with this today. Got him. Try one more, make sure I can repeat the accomplishment. So that target's at about 500 yards, and from looking through the scope, I got two impacts about that far apart from each other. So I think that's good. It's a little bit off, so I might be a little bit too much wind on it. Like I said, it's coming and going, but we'll show the target off later. Now let's see if we can get one all the way down through the trees at 745. Got it. Okay, well, I think my data is good. So I will say I think what I did was see some strange numbers on my Kestrel, and the way my head works is when I see a problem, I get entirely focused on it and kind of ruins everything else until I get it figured out. But from what I can see today and yesterday, I think I've gotten over the mental hump that I got myself into, and we should be in good shape for the next match at least. So I don't think I'll need to send the Kestrel off to get it recalibrated or anything, but I think as long as I keep it away from magnets and keep an eye on it just to make sure everything's where it's supposed to be so far as north, south, east, and west, I think we got it all figured out. So that just went 3 for 3. And I haven't shot at these targets in maybe 2 months. Maybe more than that, actually. Most of the winter, it's very cold out here in the open field. So I spent most of my time further down into my shooting range area where I've got more of a windbreak from all the trees. So I think we're in good shape. Okay, so I just thought of something else that I wanted to test. I've got my little ammo box of the ammo that I loaded up before the last match, and these are kind of my throwaways, the ones that were seated just a little bit differently. I kind of want to take a couple shots with these and see if the measurements that I was so concerned about when I was sorting out my ammo and packing it up, if it's really anything to even be stressing over. So if I can get hits with these, I've got 2 still that have not been fire formed. I've got one at like a 2.22 base to ogive, one at a 2.2 or 2.19, and I think a 2.17. So some slightly deeper seated rounds, and then a couple that are still fire forming. So if I can get hits with most of these, then I don't think I need to be making so much concern about which ammo and worrying about thousands of inches, but at least for hitting a PRS target. Got him again. And again. And again. And this will be the deepest seated one. So I don't think I'm really needing to worry about 2 to 3 thousandths difference in my base to ogive measurement. More than likely, it's the variation in the projectiles themselves in their manufacturing tolerances. So once again, one of those things that I overly stress over, but probably don't need to. So more good info to have. Okay, so we're coming down to look at it. Man, we timed this just right. It got really windy and switched completely coming from the north now, and very cold wind. But I'll flip around here, we'll take a look at the target. Okay, so with those 2 right there were from the first 2 shots that I took, and then these others floating around was all the kind of mix of different, little bit different ammo, so not as consistent. But I mean, for what I'm doing, that puts me on target. That's probably that one that was the speediest of the bunch, that was seated the deepest, but still on target. So I didn't even need my cardboard to see where I was missing at. Okay, so back at the house, I had to get out of there kind of quick right after I filmed that target. There were some storms building up. You could probably hear the wind or see the wind, but we had a lot of cold wind blowing in from the north. All around there was crazy clouds building up, starting to form kind of wall clouds, but most of the tornado stuff is further north and east of where I am, so should be safe from that, but needed to get out of there in a hurry. So I think that's it for this video. I'm pretty excited about the results of that. If you also thought it worked out pretty well, make sure you leave a thumbs up, take a look down there, make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss how my next match goes, although I'm kind of running out of excuses now because I'm feeling more confident about my Kestrel stuff after these last 2 weekends of working with it a lot more focused. And obviously my ammo works well because you heard all those hits where every shot I took, I hit the target. So pretty much all the excuses now are going to be down to me not doing a very good job. So I've got a match in 2 weeks. make sure you stick around, see how that turns out. But everything's starting to kind of line up. All the little things that I've been working on for the last couple months starting to kind of mesh together, and hopefully I'll have a better match than I have been. I haven't had any real terrible matches, but I'm trying to get just a little bit better every time. And I think now that I've got a better understanding of how this works, especially I did a couple tests with changing like what a average speed of 12 miles an hour would have done compared to like the 2 or 3 miles an hour that I put in there, and it was anywhere from a half to 1.5 mils off on what it was saying. So if I was aiming middle of the target, and I should have been, that would have put me just off the edge of the target on some stages. So I'm pretty sure that's what my mistake was, is putting in a low speed instead of an average speed. So now that I'm aware of that, even if something happens and I have to manually do this, I've got a better idea of what I need to put into each number setting. So more confident, especially with this going forward. Obviously, my reloads seem to be holding up and working well. I was able to get hits with a slight variation of seating depths, and I just wanted to see if that's something that I needed to stress extremely specific about, or if I got a little window of like give where I don't have to be quite so focused about getting every single one exactly perfect. I've got a couple thousandths that I can work with, still manage to hit a target, which is all that matters for scoring points. So thank you very much for watching this video. I'm pretty pleased with the results. I hope you like seeing how I went from unsure to more confident here. Make sure and leave me a comment if you think I did pretty good on this video as opposed to the last couple where I was stumbling through it and not sure what I was doing. I always like hearing from you guys. I appreciate all the tips that a couple of you guys left. I did get out and do side-by-side comparisons and was able to verify that I think it's all working properly now. So thank you guys for that. Leave me any more comments if you think of anything else that I should consider. I hope you all had a great Easter weekend and a pretty fun April Fool's Day. If you get a chance and you have not yet, go back and check my video. I made a kind of funny video. Hopefully it gave you guys a couple laughs, but make sure and check that out. And don't forget to come back here next week. We'll be back on it and getting ready for the next match. So thanks for spending a few minutes with me. I hope you have a great rest of your evening and a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.